In this video, we're going to talk about how to write the equation. So in the last video, you talked a lot about slope and the definitions and the formula that helps you find the slope. In this video, we're going to take a look at how to find the slope-intercept equation. So the equation, remember, has a standard form, mx plus b. We've seen that a lot this year. Remember, m is the slope or the growth. B is the y-intercept or the starting value, however you want to think about it. Now we're going to take a moment and we're going to try to find the equation of the line when given 2 points. So let's take a look at the first example. Yesterday you did this first example in the finding the slope. So that is always your first goal. Remember, this is your equation. So if I want to write the equation, I need to know what the slope is and I need to know what the intercept is. So I look at my points. I can find the slope of the line using the formula. But we already did that yesterday, and we found a slope of 1/3 by doing 4 minus 2 over, so that was y minus y, over x minus x. So -3 minus 3. So we got 2 over -6, which is equal to -1/3. So my slope I already know is -1/3, not positive, -1/3. Now I have to find the b value. So right now my equation is halfway there. I have -1/3 for my slope because I used the formula. My second step is to find b. So here's what we do. Since we know actually not just one, we know 2 sets of points. I know 2 points that work in this rule. What I'm going to do is plug them in. Remember, this is x and this is y. I'm going to just pick a point and I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to plug in 2 for y, and I'm going to plug in for x, I'm going to plug in 3 plus b. I know that this point, 3, 2, has to work in my rule, so I'm going to solve for b. So these equation solving skills are really important for all these problems. Let's see, -1/3 times 3 is -1 plus b. One more step and I have b. Plus 1 to both sides. b equals 3. So there is my intercept. So apparently my rule is -1/3 x plus 3. I'm going to check my rule using the other point. So using the other point, I want to see if my rule is in fact correct. So I'm going to let me move this stuff to the side here. I'm going to check with my other point. So I'm going to take my rule and I'm going to plug in 4 and -3 for x and y. So 4 is for y, -3 is for x. And I'm going to see if my rule works for my second point. So let's see, 4, is it equal to, let's see, negative times a negative will be a positive, so it's going to be +1. If I'm not sure, I can use my calculator to verify that, plus 3. Look at that. On the left, I have 4, and on the right, I have 4. So that means my equation is correct. So I used 1 point to find b. I used the second point to check the equation I found. So this equation works for both the first point and the second point, therefore it's the equation for my line that goes through these 2 points. So let's try this again. Let's review what the steps are. So our first step is to find the slope. You did that yesterday. So we're going to use that hard word from yesterday. The second step is to find b using the slope and a point. So I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to remember that my slope from yesterday, it looks like it was 5 minus -7 over 4. So my slope from yesterday, 5 minus -7 over 4 minus -2, which is 12 over 6, which remember yesterday the slope was 2. So we did step number 1 using our formula that we learned yesterday. Now we have to do step number 2, which is to find b using the slope and a point. So I'm going to find b using a slope and the point. First, I'm going to write down my general equation, plugging in m. I know m is 2. So 2x plus b. That's my slope plugged in for m in my general equation that you see here. So now I need to figure out what b is. So now I'm going to plug in a point. So let's see. I'm just going to pick the one with the positives, because I think it will be easier to calculate. And I'm going to plug in 4 for x, and I'm going to plug in 5 for y. 5 equals 2 times 4 plus b. And I'm going to figure out what b has to be to make this work. So 5 equals 8 plus b. Subtract 8 from both sides. B equals negative 3. There is my b value. So now I have the b value that I was looking for of negative 3. So my equation, it seems, is y equals 2x plus negative 3. Now, to be sure and be careful, we're going to plug in the other point and make sure this equation works. So for y, we're plugging in negative 7, for x, negative 2. And I'm going to see if it works. So negative 2 for x plus negative 3. Let's see if this works. Negative 7 equals, let's see, that'll give me negative 4 plus negative 3. Looks like we're good. Negative 7 equals negative 7. So this equation works for the green point and the red point that you see here, because the green point helped me find b, the red point also checks in the equation. So remember, the two major steps are find the slope, then find b using a slope and a point. And don't be afraid to check your answer like we see here in red. Let's take a look at another example. So yesterday we found the slope of this line was 6 over 15, which simplifies to 2 over 5. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to write that as a decimal, because I know that this decimal is nice. It just is 0.4. There's no extra numbers there. So I'm going to use 0.4 to help me here. So step 1 is done. My slope is 0.4. We used the formula yesterday and we found the slope. Step 2, I'm going to plug in what I know. So where m is in y equals mx plus b, where m is, I'm going to plug in the number I have, 0.4. X plus b. So I'm now going to plug in a point to check what the b has to be. So I'm going to plug in the one with 0, because 0 is always easy to work with. I'm going to put 0 in for y and 10 in for x. And I'm going to solve for b. Let's see, 0 equals 0.4 times 10 is 4 plus b. Subtracting 4 from both sides, I get negative 4 equals b. So it appears my equation is y equals 0.4 x plus negative 4. And you could write this as y equals 0.4 x minus 4. You could even go as far as making it the fraction. Remember, it was 2/5. All three of these are correct. This one might be the easiest to graph because we can see the rise of 2 and the run of 5. So don't be afraid to write these in any of these forms. Now, what am I going to do now? I'm going to check my answer and make sure it's right. So I'm going to plug in the other point just to make sure I've got the right answer. So let's see, I have the rule y equals 0.4x plus negative 4. Use any of the forms of the rule that you see here to check my answer. So I'm going to put a negative 6 for y and negative 5 for x. Let's see, negative 6. 0.4 times negative 5 is going to give me negative 2 plus a negative 4. Looks like we're good. Negative 6 equals negative 6. So this is my equation. Any of these forms will be the correct answer on a test. So remember, 2 big steps. Find the slope, but you already did that yesterday. Then go back and find b by plugging in a point and solving for what you don't know. So it's always important to keep this equation in mind. Whoops, sorry about that. Keep that equation in mind so that you have a way to work with and know what to plug in. So you're going to try the next examples here and then come back to the solutions video to help you. But I'm going to leave it on this slide so you can see the steps. Find the slope, then find b using the slope and a point. Ask your teacher if you have questions, and check the solutions video for some more hints if you feel stuck.